Here we go, Chad. Oh, is my camera off to you guys?
Yeah, it's been off this whole time. I assumed you were just getting ready, and then you started counting it out to go live.
I presumed you did.
Whoa, Neil.
Oh
also,
God.
you're on bad camera. I mean, bad microphone. So that was probably a good thing.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You had haircut and shave.
Yeah, I did the haircut
on
on Wednesday, and I did this last night. Yeah.
I imagine that's a lot like what Jake's scrotum looks like.
No, what happened was, wow. What happened was
Comment.
Jake's face.
Well, it's just funny because of what I'm about to say next. So what happened was last night I went to go give my wife a kiss, and she literally had to push my beard down to get out of the way, so that I was like, all right, I'll go trim my beard. You know what I mean? So would you like to repeat your comment?
She got hair in her mouth, and she was like, no.
It's funny because it's one of those things. So she's like, I like looking at it, but then it becomes impractical. And it's like, what do you mean as soup is in my beard? Tesha's like, or you could just not be an animal while you're eating. All right. Cool. Thank you again, Steve. I mean, math is hard, but I think it's 19. Thank you, sir. Okay. So I'm going to do a quick recap so that when we jump into this, we know exactly where we're leaving off. And to start this recap, go ahead, Tesh.
Oh yeah, hi, it's Scott here. Apparently,
well, you had the most focus for the early part of the session.
So we
started with the
we
questioning.
started the session.
The question.
The question. That's right. Yeah. Okay. I was trying to remember exactly where we started off. So we managed to separate them into different things and get a lot of good information out of them. Well, one of them. The other one was less than helpful. Then we organized. We took that information back, organized a bunch of raids, and then while we were preparing for the raids, a whole bunch of shit happened. Neil went to go give money to the person who was Cooperative's pregnant lady. I don't know if it was wife or not, but doesn't matter. Viggo found that there was a traitor, and Galen walked into a loper. He doesn't know it's a loper. He just saw a very strange person that had psionic abilities like the ones that he was confused about in the room, in the Yavanheer's office, and the Yavanheer seemed to have. So that's why he's incredibly involved in the fact that he managed to take it down through chat's help. Thank you, chat. Using two limit breakers to take him down, and getting exceedingly lucky with a nat 20 on initiative, and then a confirmed nat 20 to take it down at the end after it was stunned. He then immediately flew the body towards the headquarters, at which point he found someone burning the evidence, who he quickly stopped, and then was accused of burning the evidence of someone who doesn't understand how fire works, and was detained after putting out the fire, where Jake went to find Viggo went to find Tristan. They grouped up and found unfortunately Raylor, who'd just been told that Velfine,
Yep, Velfine.
the Lieutenant Centurion, was a traitor, and they found them both dead, killed by a third party. So that's fun. Tristan went after the third party, while Viggo went back to get more troops. Upon discovering that Galen had been detained, or basically put the foot down and said, "Look, BC's down. Cut the shit. I'm in charge now," which worked. And Galen is now guarding the corpse, and Viggo is returning with soldiers to the scene.
Okay. it's funny. Whenever people see lopers and don't know what they are, they again look like old Perrin, but not quite old looking. They look like young old Perrin.
It's old features, but like almost like the way I imagine it is if you were to look at someone who's had a lot of like skin lifted.
Joan Rivers. I imagine it's like seeing Joan Rivers. It's a little jarring for a moment. You're like, oh, hi. Okay. Okay, I'm now prepared for this conversation. Okay. It's a great moment.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like that my character had something to put it to with the whole like the mystery of the oven here, and then with the questions they were asking, especially, it's like, oh, that's right. He got questioned. He got mind controlled by the Loper and questioned about specifically Abstergo 13, where his mind was opened, and what he was doing here. The big ones he latched onto was the Abstergo 13 and the fact that he knew who that was and was confused that he wasn't still contained, was the wording they used.
Oh, yeah. And now also Neil, in his little tidbit there, is him and Jake went to go investigate one of the raids. As you had said, they went to go meet up with you. You weren't there, so they went to go meet up where the battle commander was in theory supposed to go. Over to where Velfine is. They saw some of his own guard dead in an alley. And so they're like, shit. And they went into the nearby building that got raided, which was like a hotel that was supposed to be like a higher end one, but clearly was run down over the years. Blah, blah, blah. Go in and you find a bunch of dead people. Black Knights that were dead. Some of the Paradol military were dead. You realize the back door was kicked in at some point in time. You go upstairs, you find a room where both Velfine, who was the traitor, and the Rylor, who is the battle commander, are both dead with it looks like attacks from the same weapon, and as well as the guards like leading up to and in that room as well. So whatever happened here, lots of dead people inside one room, and you're like, what the Neil's like, oh, I'm gonna go and investigate this matter. I will go look for their tracks out back. Oh, there's a big pile of blood and viscera. Clearly they used prestidigitation to clear all the filth off themselves. Goes into the streets. That's okay. If this person was wearing heavy armor or like on a horse or any of those things, like they're going to be very obvious. We at least know that they had heavy armor, so they're going to be obvious. I'm totally going to be able to scout it out. I don't see tracks anywhere, and there's not a soul in sight for me to ask questions of. Shit, I lost them. And so that was kind of the end of what he was able to do there so far, but has not given up on his search. And then lastly, Jake, as you had just said, went and had that conversation with the person who was just one rank beneath himself, and decided, okay, I need to go investigate this matter further, and heads out to go and get some reinforcements, make sure that you're okay. Finds out, I guess you're okay, and takes control of the situation and then leaves. Where we're picking up, he's literally walking back towards the inn where all that murder took place. Seems like murder in cold blood. No, they had weapons out. They can at least defend themselves. But where all that murder took place. As he's walking back over there, he's having a conversation with some of the soldiers that are his underlings. And at one point in time, he turns around. He thinks he sees something, but doesn't. Takes a second glance or whatever, doesn't think anything of it. About a minute or so passes, and once again he turns to look back, kind of like suddenly to talk to somebody that was there, and suddenly definitely catches his eye. He looks above and behind him. Jake, go ahead and roll for me a spellcraft check, please.
Not Arcana?
No, spellcraft.
Oh, God.
Oh, the dice are doing it again.
Nice.
They're up to their shit again.
Teasing the hell out of you. Yep. All right, cool. So, you, sir, are going to modify that?
Can chat see dice?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just making sure, because I tabbed over and I didn't see it. You probably got rid of it quickly.
Nope, it's still there.
No, it's right there.
Next to the D20 on roll 20.
My stream is
Camouflage.
super delayed. I saw it roll just then.
Oh, if you tab away though, it also won't necessarily load up for you yet.
So,
No, it's fine. It's all good.
You see that Norway's not in chat right now?
He might be sleeping.
I'm gonna wish him well and make him roll in his bed by telling a little aside story.
Uh-oh.
So-
no.
2 days ago, this little fluffy child here had to go for a dental. So she went for a dental and she had a tooth removed, which is kind of what we expected. That's fine. She doesn't really like the vets. Anyway, we went to get her hours after she'd had it. They brought her out in the crate and she was a bit like dopey and whatnot. And anyway, we got her in the car. We started driving home, and the vet's is like a 10-minute drive from the house, so not far at all. 10, 15 tops. And she was still high on the anesthetic and had dental blocks in. So she'd had local anesthetic injected, so she couldn't feel anything. So she wasn't going to feel any pain. However, she managed to get herself so worked up that even though I tried to stop her, she was biting the cage. So she's got a plastic crate with a metal wire, and she's biting it, and she bit it so hard, and she pulled back that she snapped her front left canine in front of me, onto me.
Oh my god!
And I won't lie, I fucking bawled my eyes out. Anyway, we took her. The vets were really good. We rang them. We took her straight back. They had a look. They told us like these are the options. She's absolutely fine. You don't have to worry. And like, I mean, you could see her. She's fine. But like, she snapped her tooth in front of me, and like, you know, those moments where you're just like, I can't. I just like I was just like head in my hands. Thank God Chloe kept her head, but that was traumatizing. Don't go out the window. Yeah. Anyway, she seems fine and she's having pain relief at the moment, but like it was just like she was just pulling on this metal thing. Anyway, we bought her a soft crate already. Like that's coming. That's in the mail. But like she'd never done that before. But basically they can't feel it because of the dental block, so she couldn't feel what she was doing. So she just pulled to.
It's one of those things that shows why we have pain.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, that's exactly what the vet said. But anyway, so we're gonna have to. Technically, it comes with accident, so we'll get the insurance to cover it. But she'll probably have like a root canal or something.
Ugh.
I know, right? I just like it just pinged out onto me, and I was just like, her tooth's broken. And Chloe was like, what? Driving in the front while I'm in the back with.
Oh my god, that was in the car. I missed that part.
It was
Hold on.
Well,
Hold on. Did you get Miss Daisied? Like, was it like a driving Miss Daisy scenario where she was like your chauffeur?
I don't know what this is.
She was like your chauffeur.
Oh yeah, she was in the front and I was in the back. Yeah.
Why were you not in the front seat with her?
Because I was in the back with Artie. Because she's in a big cat crate.
Oh, was it like on your lap?
Yeah, because I tried to comfort her, and also I was trying to stop her from biting the fucking grill. Anyway, I opened it after that because I was like, oh my god, she's just broken her teeth. Like, what if she does it again? I didn't let her out because cats will go under pedals and stuff. They'll like, I didn't want us to die.
That legit happened to me once.
So anyway, we made it back to the vets with Artie wrapped in a towel that I was hugging. She was just like,
big burrito.
God.
Yeah. I mean, cats are really dumb animals. So that makes sense. So, yeah.
So I mean, if we hop you up on that much drugs, we'll see how you do.
I mean, I still have a temporary crown because I'm waiting for the new one got made. I was supposed to have it put in tomorrow, but because I have meetings all day today and tomorrow, I won't be getting it until next week. And this is because they fucked up the first one. No. So
anyway, sorry, I totally interrupted you.
You're good. Just a quick follow up to what you were saying. One time I had to bring Kat to a vet. This is going back like 11, 12, 13 years ago. Had to bring Kat to a vet. Had to bring a cat to a vet, And the cage that they were in it was like a smaller. It was like a cage that you'd put like either a cat or like a chihuahua in, like a small one.
Oh no.
But it wasn't my cage. I was borrowing one from a friend because I was like, oh, but like I just took the cage from them and it was empty, and I put the cat into it. And then when I finally got the cat into the cage, I felt bad, so I like carried the cage over and put it into the thing. I was an idiot. I was like 21 at the time. I was an idiot, and I didn't check to make sure that the parts that lock the top and bottom of the cage together were all latched, because it was no problem when I was walking, and I carried it like this. So anyways, the cat was able to slink out like the back of the thing and was loose in the car while I was driving. And when I realized, it's because I heard whining from under me, and I was like, what the hell? So at one point in time when I was like not actively accelerating, I looked down and I see like a paw kind of coming out and whining, and I'm like, so I like, you have to slow down and pull over, and now you're on the side of the road, trying not to let the cat jump out of the car as you're trying to get to the cat to get the back of the.
Oh man, it was a horrible situation. It was terrifying.
Yeah, but no broken teeth or anything like that. Like that's like.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
a medical
was
concern.
Watching that happen, I was like, that broke me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're like this is going to hurt in minutes. So
Well, she had a dental blocking, so it didn't hurt at all. She's absolutely fine.
In minutes, like it wears off quickly. You know what I mean?
No, dental block lasts for 24 hours. Anesthetic, but the dental block. Because they put they put a pool of local anesthetic at a certain nerve junction, which blocks all feeling.
For 24 hours? I mean, I just had a root canal done, and the Novocaine started wearing off at the tail end of the procedure.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because they use a
probably
different.
isn't the same thing. Yeah.
They use a different medication, I imagine.
Okay.
Because you can't just like, oh, this is painful, I'm gonna pop a pill. Cats literally won't tell you when they're in pain.
Yeah. Oh.
They just keep sitting there like,
Typical cat.
cats are idiots.
Well, yeah. You heard it here. Clip that. Anyways, I did send that clip from last week to Chloe. She didn't respond, which leads me to believe that I got blocked. So I think she blocked me on Twitter.
She's like got a default filter on Twitter that like if you're a 40-year-old plus.
I'm not 40. Only 36. That's fine.
Right. Well, I apologize for that side, but I felt the need to share my horror story.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. So back to Jake rolling his spellcraft of 13. Jake, did you want to luck that? The chance,
Yeah, an equally horrifying story.
Did you want to luck it, Jake?
No.
Do it, Jake. Come on.
We have
You want me
lots.
to lock it?
We need to know
Spellcraft.
how many we have. And if you leave it,
Oh,
Tesh will
pardon
just
me.
use them all.
Oh,
Shush. Look,
16.
you're right, but shush.
Okay, to identify a spell is unfortunately 15 plus level. So so
It's a level 1.
So 16 would work if it was a level 1 spell. Unfortunately, all you know is that you see through your ability to see illusions, the spell you currently have cast on yourself, you look up and you're able to see an illusionary sensor that's up there, looking down at you. Looks kind of like an eye. The issue is you've never seen these before, and you're like, I know what this is, but you can't call it to memory. You're like, ah. But it's funny because as you look up at what the sensor is,
Hang on, I can roll it twice.
why?
I've investigative mind still on because that lasts like 2 hours.
Bloop investigative mind again?
Ooh.
Oh, then roll it a second time, baby.
Oh, it's specifically spellcraft. Cool.
It's knowledge, linguistics, or spellcraft. Let's see if there's any different. It's worse. Is it?
No, it's better.
It's
Plus
exactly
3,
the
that's
same.
plus 3, that's a 19.
No,
Yeah.
just roll a d4 because that would have to be re-rolled as well. Oh no, that part
okay.
that part does not have to be. That part does not have to be.
Oh, then
Yeah.
yeah 19.
And excuse me.
It's like one of my nightmares to hear my friends choke over like comms.
Oh God.
Don't worry, I'm not choking. Just cough, tickle in the throat. No jokes. So with a 19 total, investigative mind. By the way, this spell is discharged which you've used every time it's equal to your caster level. Your caster level what? 5, and
5. Yeah.
you recast it. So I think
I did.
since you recast, I think you've used it at least twice or 3 times with this one.
I think it was
Yeah.
twice.
You-
I'm not certain. I'm not counting.
You might want to scroll up just to confirm because I think this might have been your 3rd time since the recast. But that being said, a 19 is exactly what you needed for Arcane Eye. You know that this is a magical sensor that is relatively short range, relatively meaning that it travels slowly at about the same pace that you do, and it only has so long of a duration. So that means whoever casts a spell is definitely somewhere in the city, and you can tell that it's focused on you. But when you look up at it, it seems to be dissipated. It just stops.
All right. Well, I'll say to the men around me, be vigilant. I think we're being watched.
Okay. They look around, sir, and then they'll continue to follow you.
He'll look at them and he'll say, "There's magics about."
Of course. They follow along with you and whatnot, getting your way back there. If I remember correctly, Neil's also back at the what the hell is that thing called? The inn that you were at beforehand. I know Norway made a bunch of jokes about its name last time. So anyways, that was like the musty rug or something. I don't remember what he called it. It was like the majestic rug, and then he renamed to the musty rug or something. I don't know. Anyway, so Jake, you make your way over to there to start doing the investigation into the area. When you get there, is it one of those scenarios where you just kind of immediately walk into the building to start searching, to start investigating? Like, what are you doing?
No, I'm gonna get the soldiers to fan out and secure the perimeter.
Sure.
And then I'm gonna have some soldiers come in with me. As well.
When you go into the place, it's one of those fun things where as soon as you walk in, you're caught off guard because you. But Neil, you are there, correct, with him?
I would be catching up because I lost the guy. So I was obviously behind him. How long it took me? Probably not that long because I literally walked out to the back street, right, and lost him.
Oh, but he already went way away and came back. So I think you could already potentially. We could say you're kind of coming in the back door.
I likely would have caught up, right?
Yeah. So I imagine you. Well, actually, I imagine he even would have caught up with you before you guys would have caught up with one another even before he got back to this building. So that being said,
I would have thought so because I'm on horseback.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to give him a heads up about the sensor before we get to the fan out the guards and going in.
I mean, I would probably want to give him a heads up about what I suspect is prestidigitation.
Yep. So you guys can go ahead and have your little moment.
Chris,
We do that.
You didn't find anything.
I found a puddle of blood and gore that had been slopped off someone in an instant. Looked rather like when Galen does it. I suspect what we're dealing with is a mage. The track stopped entirely after that.
I think you're right. However, this mage seems to be able to wield. Was it a great sword or a bastard sword that we thought?
You're not sure. It was a straight blade. You know what I mean? So it could have been a great sword, long sword, bastard sword, short sword. Yeah. It's hard to tell with the wounds.
I mean, it's even hard to tell IRL like what are the actual differences between these.
Yeah. Well, not only that, we're being watched. There was a magic about that allows people to tail you remotely. See, and can they hear as well?
No, not with that. That's visual only.
Yeah. All right, so you just say that, be able to tail you remotely. I got sight of it and it disappeared. Be on your guard. I feel as though the Black Knight mage may be about. He's the only one unaccounted for.
We know that the Black Knight Mage was a no.
Correct. That
do.
is accurate. Yes.
Thinking back now, did the wounds look as if they were delivered by someone with the stature of a gnome? Like a gnome wouldn't be able to deliver it like
Yeah.
down
No,
on
no.
someone's.
This is definitely somebody who is of medium size,
Okay.
or at least can attack as such. You know what I mean?
I don't think this Black Knight fellow was the one to. Maybe he's working for the mage, but all those Black Knights in there were dead. We don't know who did that. It feel like maybe there's a third faction at play.
It could be. I feel as though these advanced magics that were able to put an invisible tail on us, though. Maybe the gnome.
We need the AC.
We do. For what we can do right now is secure this scene and do as much investigation inside as time will allow. Hopefully we can piece some things together.
Tris would nod.
All right, well then we'll go inside.
Okay. So you guys go into the Fated Glory. Funny, while you were talking, I was writing onto your Melissa Harbor notes there, noteworthy locations, and added the Fated Glory, starting it with a once majestic establishment known as the Gilded Glory, and then went on from there. So yay, continuing. So you guys go to walk into the establishment, and I imagine same as before. The door opens up. You just in case will send what's his fuck first, and you step in right behind him. That's Tristan, and you step in right behind him. Tristan, you go walking in and surveying the room. You're taking in just like the stillness, the gravity, the kind of the carnage that's there. When all of a sudden a bit of movement catches your eye, as you see knelt down by one of the bodies, a person stand up and face towards you. And she says,
Yeah.
Tristan. She nods. She goes, grew up in a small farm in Parenhia along the border of Adir.
Can I point at her?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Yeah. You have
And we know her full name, right?
It's Pan.
We do. We got it from Crow.
Correct. I have to. Where the hell is it?
She's the leader of the crows here.
Pen Karen.
Pen Karen.
Karam.
Karen. And
yeah.
Yeah. So Viggo would point back at her and say, Pen Karen, leader of the crows in, Melissa Harbor.
Mm-hmm. She'll pause for a second at that one and be like, huh, that's less exciting of a reveal that I know more about you. But, I guess that works. How'd you find out?
Things that are being discussed later. Pam, we're gonna need your help.
Anything you want, Viggo.
Thank you.
She didn't know any of your names before.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
we always told her the fake names.
I'm not worried about that in the slightest now. Like
Yeah, that's
we
fair.
know she's Paradel, like some type of special division anyway. So yeah, her stuff isn't that.
I just like that we accidentally ruined her big reveal. She's building up. Oh.
Have you been upstairs?
She shakes her head. I only just got here a few minutes ago. I came in through the back door.
Well, come with me,
Nods.
and I'll have the guards obviously, make sure everywhere is secure, and not let anyone in.
Did you see anyone? when you were coming in the back way?
Shakes her head. No, unfortunately, or I suppose looking around, fortunately, I did not.
And she's wearing her normal clothes. She's not
Yeah.
like got pauldrons on her.
Correct. Correct. Normal clothes. And so she'll walk upstairs with you. Go ahead.
Well, we're gonna probably go upstairs, make sure all the rooms are secure on the way to where we're going until we get to where the bodies are.
Okay. As you're walking upstairs with you, she'll have a little bit of a small talk. She'll say to you, how the hell was it that you were able to get promotions so quickly?
She's saying this to me.
Yeah.
Just be about that life, Pam.
She shakes her head and goes, there's usually obstacles put in the way of Metahina.
We've
Well,
had
I
our fair
have
share
a-
of obstacles.
That we have. We have accomplished things that others may not have.
I'd say so. When I finally found out your names and tried to look into records, everything seems classified.
That it is. I don't know much about the crows, but I look forward to finding out what I can.
She shrugs and says, it's a small division that happens to exist here. They're not very... And then just kind of like shrugs it off. And we'll go walking to when you go walking into the room, and that's where she'll stop and be like, holy shit.
Pam, I've been informed that you can use a bit of magic.
She nods.
Trained by the AC?
Nods. Yeah, and Bard. I'm surprised we never
Do
bumped
you
into
have-
one another.
I was in Sahara. Small trips to Bard, but mostly Sahara.
I didn't spend much time in Sahara. I'm sorry. Yeah, go on.
Do you have any contacts here in the AC?
She thinks for a moment and shakes her head. Not really. Though I could always meet with them. I obviously military ends. What's your point?
Well, you see the BC here.
Nods again.
Doesn't look like he's in much of a talking mood.
Once more with feeling.
Now,
Sure.
see, we figured out that the Lieutenant Centurion here was a Black Knight, as you can see, and he'll point to her mask and say, as we uncovered what was going on, it seems that the BC had a confrontation with her himself, but that didn't work out too well. Now, these are traitors in the paramilitary we're talking about, and he'll point back to, obviously, talking about the Lieutenant Centurion. He says, I know that the Arcane Congress can talk to the dead, and the best way to find out what happened here might be from the battle commander. Is that what he is, a battle commander? Battle commander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks at you and says, ooh, we would have to... yeah, we can ask to see if something like that can be done. That's not typically the way that I go about it.
You can't do it yourself?
Shakes her head. No. That's definitely beyond me. I can usually track things down based off of something that somebody wears, something noteworthy. Example, Tristan's cloak is pretty friggin' unique. Not very often you see, I think that's bear pelt, owl bear pelt with the feathers and whatnot in there. It was unique enough that it was easy for me to track you back to your apartment. Speaking with the dead, that's certainly beyond my ability.
It's unfortunate. Well, then, if you're up to it, I would like your assistance in trying to piece together what I can from the scene here.
She
You,
was the fucking beggar. Sorry, continue.
you go ahead and roll a diplomacy for me. 19. Are you happy with your 19?
You guys good with me just taking the 19?
Should already be inclined to help us, seeing as
Yeah.
we're both Paradel. It
Yeah.
wouldn't make sense for her to be like
She also seems to have
unfriendly.
investigated us and seems to trust us. So
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it.
Okay. She nods and says, "Yeah, I can look into seeing if we can get their assistance on this." Anything else?
One of yours, Crow, unfortunate name, I suppose. He helped us hit the Black Knight base. We've not heard from him since. Maybe you could send someone to check on him. He could be wounded. We had to rush back. Doesn't feel right to leave him out there.
Crow is capable of handling himself. If he's injured, he'll be able to patch himself up. I won't be able to find him without, I suppose, meeting with him first. He learned some time ago what I'm able to do, and if he doesn't want to be found, he'll just completely disregard all of his equipment and leave it behind.
Speaking of what you can do, are you able to track people?
Shakes her head again. Things that people wear. People is a much more complicated spell.
Let's see. All right, then, if you wouldn't mind, let's begin. And Viggo will start documenting, everything down, more or less investigating, seeing if they can make sense of what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just trying to see something. She looks and she says, "I'm just wondering if there was any way that we could try to find out what kind of weapon that they used. Anything that may have been left behind here. Any suggestion of a object that stands out as being unique. If we could find any evidence of that, that's something that I'd be able to use to try to discover who this person is. But in the meanwhile, I will have to turn to the Arcane Congress. So as you're searching about this area, look for things like that."
Well, these seem to have been wounds that seem to have been inflicted with a long-bladed weapon, be it a great sword, a bastard sword, something like that. I'll keep my eye out.
Nods, says, "Well, I don't know if there's a way to recreate what it looks like. I imagine not, just from a couple of cuts on it. A sword will look like a sword will look like a sword unless we can find some sort of insignia or runes or the like on it to make it stand out. So, unfortunately, I will speak with the Arcane Congress and see what we can come up with." And
Thank you, Pan. When you're done as well, there may be something I could require your assistance with.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to see the magical auras of things? Merlin's asking if she can detect magic, just so you know.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds. I believe the answer to that is yes. Oh, yeah, it's a 0-level spell. Absolutely.
Yep.
I always forget because of different editions.
Yep.
But, yeah, bards have how many 0-level spells? 6 0-level spells. So, yeah.
You can detect magic. There was some cast in the alley. Will you follow me and attempt to identify it?
She'll nod and say, "Unfortunately, depending on how long ago it was cast, the abilities might not linger." And then she'll kind of like gesture to head that way immediately.
He'll go to the pile of gore viscera in the back alley and point at it and say, "I think there's a spell that cleans this off people. Does it near instantly. I've seen Galen use something similar. I think I need you to confirm." You're muted.
she'll nod, and then as she approaches, she does kind of like a clearing of her throat, and then almost has this like resounding noise, like echo that comes down from deep in her throat, almost like a throat singing sound, as she's bringing her own like she's almost bringing the resonance of her own body in tune.
Yeah, it's a dragon shell. I get it.
In tune with the resonance of the magic that's there, and then she looks throughout the area and tries to see if there's any signs of anything. After looking around for about a minute or so, she'll look back and shake her head and say, if you're talking about a spell being cast here, it was minor enough that there's no residual energy left behind. It could have been something as simple as a cantrip or an orison.
Orison?
The very simple spells that are cast by a neophyte casters.
Right. Well, thanks, I guess.
I'll also make sure you know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that may need identifying. We don't know if they're magic or not from the lair.
Yeah, that's what I asked her for help for.
Oh, right. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, because I was like, can you detect magic? Because I'm gonna need your help with some stuff later.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to get that done because it's like a time essence thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If there
No, I
was
was
anything
expecting-
there.
Us identifying the other stuff will like it's nowhere near as important.
You guys knew.
Yeah.
Okay. So she will then head to go to the, what the hell is it called? The Arcane Congress. Okay. So she'll head
One
to...
thing I want to do is if the LC has any like symbol of rank or anything like on her person,
Yeah, she
I
would.
want to
Absolutely.
like I will take it.
Sure.
And I will make sure that mask is placed on her face properly.
Okay. So you want to tamper with the evidence that's there. Absolutely.
She does not deserve those that rank that she has. And the mask was already on her. I'm just making sure that it's definitely.
Oh, it's not. It wasn't on her person. It was just in the room.
Well, Pan was here. Well, I'm not going to do that then.
Oh, wait,
I
hold
will
on.
strip the insignia.
Oh, no. It was on her person because she had to hide her identity. That's right. It was on her person. My apologies.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I just got 2 daddy's dice. All right. So you, sir, are able to kind of like take that off, like you said. That was how they take off her rank or whatever it is, and go looking about the area. Is there anything particular you guys are looking for while you're doing the investigation here? What are you trying to find? What rooms are you searching, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And obviously, you're just waiting for Pan to return.
I would like to use profession soldier. The people will have been wounded in specific ways. Stabs, cut, thrusts. Maybe that door frames, doors, walls have got sustained cuts as well, depending on the size of this weapon. It may be that this sword was wielded in like a different way. Like if it's a huge source in this sword in this building, you may not be able to, you may have to half sword it. We know this person was likely wearing like plate armor because they had big pauldrons. They may have been wearing cloth. They may have left scraps of cloth. I literally am just trying to follow and plot the route they took and work out more about their weapon and armor as they have moved.
Okay. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to roll profession soldier. Before you do that, what are you doing, Jake?
I guess really all I can do, like I want to document the scene from the entrance where there was a fight. Anywhere there's bodies or it looks like there's been a disturbance, it'll be noted down, and then I will try and note down like cause of death, like of people, and more or less piece together what I can into a coherent theory of what may have happened.
Okay. So why don't we go ahead and have the two of you go roll your perception check first for kind of like searching around and everything, trying to like see what you can physically discover first.
What do you want me to roll? Sorry.
Perception.
Perception.
It's a 3, 7, 5. Okay. Okay. That is going to be perception check of 21 and 16. So you guys are able to find some details around. Like, so first and foremost, Neil, I mean, this person that entered into combat, it's not like they got away, scot-free, right? It's not like they just walked in, slaughtered everybody, never took a hit and walked out. Like, definitely there was a degree of engagement that happens. And you can see that there was like scuffles and whatnot that happened at the various areas for the different people that have consistent attacks against them, right? They have a consistent, almost like talk about types of attacks, a lot of overhead chops and thrusts, right? We'll get into that situation in a minute. And Jake, same idea. You can certainly find cause of death for these people. Violent, all of them, but not everybody was done by the same, weapon or weapons, right? Like you have those that were using the bastard sword, specifically Perrin trained, will have a different attack form than people that were maybe trained outside of the Paradel military, right? I'm going to have you, Neil, roll me a knowledge soldier check or professional soldier check, sorry. And Jake, you can do your medicine check, whatever the hell it's called that you use.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh, wow, Viggo. Look at that. Viggo's able to identify each and every individual person that was killed by this one same person, starting from the room upstairs to really understand and using Tristan kind of like, oh yeah, it was the attack, the way, really trying to dissect what this is. You come to a conclusion. The weapon that they used was not small. It was either a bastard sword or a great sword that they used. There's no doubt in your mind about that. This is the way that they did these big chops and whatnot that happened had to be either a bastard sword or a great sword that they were using, right? So the way that they would come down with incredible force to slam into the target and drag out, or thrusts. And the thrusts, again, it's hard to tell which kind of blade it was because it could have been a long sword that was stuck, a bastard sword that was stuck in deeper, or a great sword that only went part way in, right? It's really hard to see the edges of how deep these wounds are. And certainly Tristan is not sitting there with a flashlight like, oh, let me look into this person's body right now. That's not what his psyche is kind of trained for.
What do you mean? He's got 10 fingers, dude.
Ooh.
The blood mark comes to the fifth knuckle.
So anyways, you guys are investigating and are able to find out who was killed by that one person. To answer that question, that room upstairs with Velphine and Rylor, everyone in that room, the one person in the hallway leading to that room, the one person out inside the back alleyway, the one person dead inside the kitchen, and one other person leading between A and B. So you have, what's that? In that room, there were 4. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people were killed by that one person. Everybody else here was killed by each other, was killed by the initial raid and battle that took place at that point in time. So that is a powerful individual. You're also, by their stance and whatnot, as I said beforehand, Neil, they definitely were a medium-sized creature, no doubt in your mind about that. Makes sense for where the pauldrons were hitting the door. Makes sense for the chops and everything that they were doing. But more importantly, they had to have been strong, because if this was a bastard sword or a great sword, and they were attacking like this inside that room that was upstairs, there was only one mark on the ceiling. that suggests that a swing would have actually scuffed the ceiling or put a cut into the ceiling. The rest of them would have had to have been done from like lower down. So they had to have had some immense strength to be able to do these kind of attacks from without having the full swing, without having the full kind of, acting like a fulcrum sort of situation. So that's what you're able to get off of that. This one individual did that, which is a bit concerning as to who the fuck that individual was. And Jake, again, just to touch up on what you were saying, you were able to find out more or less, okay, that kind of weapon killed this person. Okay, these are raid killed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think anything else exciting from that information.
One thing I want to note is, how do I like? Is there any signs on the commander or anything of him being like bound or anything like that? Like, I'm trying to work out why they were in this room. Like, did he manage to just fight his way to this room and then all of a sudden he got killed, or like was his men that he came with defeated and then he was dragged into that room? You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like this is me, not Triss. I feel like he battered his way in, killed the remaining Black Knights, had her cornered, and was questioning her, hence why her mask was off but out. He'd found the confirmation. He was questioning her, probably, because he wouldn't have killed her. I mean, for one, they were friends for as much as it was worth. Two, he wanted as much information out of her. And I believe it was likely at this point that the door was bust open and this Black Knight murdered all the people in the room.
Yeah.
So that more or less kind of rings with what you just found with evidence of where the combat took place. Combat between the Paradel and the Black Knights took place downstairs. Up here, everybody was killed by whoever this armored individual was.
All right. Well, then, if we're all done, I think we should bring the commander's body.
Well, because this isn't quick, why don't you go ahead and roll me a D4 for how many hours this was?
Yep.
I should say D4 plus 1, really.
Oh, that's right. This is something we talked about after an off stream. We were also wanting to send word to the
FC.
Yeah, the FC. Can we say that we did that? Is that
Yeah,
Scott said that you were able.
We did
to
say
do
we
that.
did it at the last.
Yeah, I just remember. Right, I thought it happened off session. I just want to make sure it was.
I think we talked about it at the end of the session, but yes, your
Right
character,
at the very end.
Your character would have once.
That's
Jake
right.
kind of fixed
I
that
was
whole
able
scenario.
to order it.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So with 5 hours, the maximum hours haven't been passed while you guys are doing this investigation. That's why you rolled so well. We're able to get such surefire information, was because of exactly this. Eventually, again, 5 hours is a long time. So near the tail end of that, Pan would actually return, coming back in. So it was like a knock as she's coming in downstairs. Hello, making sure you know it's me. Don't attack any. Triss. She says as Triss kind of comes out from like the kitchen or whatever, and Jake's still upstairs searching. She looks and says, "Are you getting peckish?"
This building's full of corpses.
She nods.
That's the best reply.
So I got a daddy's dice, and I just noticed it right now, and it specifically says, "I shall feed the Scot with an early morning treat. Sadly, not caffeine." So, actually, I have not had caffeine yet today.
Fantastic.
So, all right, I'm gonna finish my 2 bottles of water before I get the coffee going.
Yeah, Snaga, I'm fully aware I have fatigue on at the moment. It sucks.
Okay, so you said this room's full of bodies, and she says, "Yeah, but you still have to eat."
Yeah, not in here.
She nods and says, "There's a place not far up the street from here that I'll occasionally grab a bite from. I suggest you maybe take a rest and go get some. Where's Viggo?"
Around. I'm not being obtuse. I just am tired.
Nods and says, no, I get it. Long night and all. She'll just kind of gesture to the stairs, and when there's like neither a confirm or deny, she just starts walking in that direction.
He'd like shrug.
Yeah.
I heard this sound and I thought, that dog barking, that's got to be Percy. Then I looked and saw Jake's muted.
Yeah, it's Neil. Yeah. He got the box around him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the old man's dog.
The
wait,
old man's
Just
dog.
in his yard, just barking away.
Oh, okay.
Old man doesn't care. Does he, Artie? No.
There's a way to make
Sorry,
that
it
dog
was just-
quiet. Wrist
It was
rocket.
one of those moments where I immediately, like, my brain went, oh, Percy. And I looked at Percy, and Percy's perfectly still in the background. I'm like, it's not Percy.
I got the window
But
wide
continue.
open because it's a lovely day, but
Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's not
this isn't
bothering. It's just
America,
really
so I
funny.
can't just get my AR-15 out and just solve the
You can't do that in the
situation.
United States either. That's super illegal.
Shouldn't do that in the United
The
States.
dog was on your property.
I mean that's damage to another person's property. That's illegal.
I'm being verbally assaulted right now.
Maybe
Sorry.
that dog
Sorry
was
for
hanging
interrupting.
around all
Continue.
those wild hogs.
Oh.
Again, I'll never forget when I worked with that Scottish guy named Scott. His name was actually Scott, and was from Scotland, and it made me happy. And very hard. Like I've worked with many people with many different accents, and I usually have no problem understanding different accents, whether like Eastern European or somewhere in Asia or from maybe Central or South America. Accents, no problem. The Scottish guy, I usually just nodded when he spoke. Anyways, he would tell a story about how, like in the UK, there's just such a feral cat problem. Just like the cities are so overrun with feral cats that people would literally just use slingshots and just like try to take out the cats because there's just so many of them. He was like, yeah, that's what my family would do. We just, get a rock and just kind of like, and hey, if you killed it, it's one less cat to deal with. He's like, the problem is if you kill too many cats, then you get rats. Ugh. And I'm like, okay. It's gross.
I mean, let's be clear. He's
It's
talking
gross.
about Scotland. There's a reason that we uplifted them, all right, Scott?
Whoa, throwing shade.
It's
No.
slow work.
He was Scott with one T. He was Scott with one T, which made me.
Wow, so he's literally just short for Scottish. That's what you call him, a Scot.
No, but his name was Scott. Like his
God
documentation
damn.
to work there. Like I had to plug in his
What
I-9
were
back
his
then.
parents thinking?
They're very proud of their heritage. So he's the same guy I've told the story about before that also got because of he more or less got jumped because of a jacket he was wearing for the wrong football team. So he got jumped and literally got hit in the head with a hatchet and barely survived. Like he literally survived because the person couldn't pull the hatchet back. Yeah, they
Oh my
like yeah, I saw the scar
God.
too. The person couldn't pull the hatchet back out. So because they couldn't pull it back out, they left him there with a hatchet in his head, and so they were able to save his life at the hospital. Like
What the fuck?
yeah. He was like, that's why I prefer. He's like, that's why I prefer America. Now, if somebody tries to hit me with a hatchet, I can shoot them. And I was like, this person's intense. This person is very intense. So, yeah. And again, I couldn't understand them either. So when you're like, you're scary, and I don't know what you're saying.
Can I just like take that dramatically out of context? That this man prefers America only after taking a hatchet to the brain.
Yeah.
Cool.
Actually, I would say because he took a hatchet to the brain, but. All right. So, shall we continue?
That was heavy, man.
Yeah.
I'm still reeling.
It was just brought up because they get Big Dog and they made a joke about a wrist rocket, which again never harm anybody's animals, unless you're hunting. That's the only time you're allowed to harm an animal is if you're hunting because you're gonna eat
It's
it.
not a person's animal.
Yeah, well, sure. Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could accidentally. You know what I mean? Like, that was your deer.
Change the topic, shall we?
That was your deer. Oh, I have the Bambi's really tasty. So, sorry about that. All right, cool. Let's keep going. Where were we? She goes upstairs. So she comes walking to the room where you're investigating the bodies, and I imagine you being a practiced vivisectionalist, you've got like some sort of maybe cloth glove on or what have you that you'll just have laundered later on, and you just got like blood up on your sleeves rolled up on your arms. You've got like blood on like an apron or whatever that you're wearing because you're not afraid of getting in and getting dirty, right?
Yeah.
Like this is literally what you do. And vivisectionalists are supposed to come off as creepy fucks. So I imagine she comes walking in the room and you've just got like blood. Like you stand up as she addresses you. You hold your hands up. There's just like a drip rolling down to your sleeve. Like, oh, gotta keep myself clean. So she'll like give like a knock hello. Oh.
Oh, you're back. He says as he like flicks his glove and some blood kind of splatters on the ground. Takes it off and grabs his notebook up.
I understand the classified. So you asked to see whether or not you can speak with the spirit after it's passed. The Arcane Congress did agree and said that they're willing to do so, but there's a cost to it. This is outside of the normal purview of the relationship between the AC and the military, so this isn't covered by military funding typically.
Did you just say this isn't a military matter?
Not in the AC's eyes.
And how much is this going to cost?
350 gold pieces.
Okay.
We just got insurance.
You have 350 gold pieces?
He looks at her and then takes a step back, like pats his, like where his gold pouch is. He's like, yes, I do.
She nods and says, apparently I'll be digging more into you. You're a bit of an enigma.
Dig away, Pan.
She shakes her head. Time and place.
Maybe he'll dig back.
Time and place, and she hands you the.
You hear that from like down the kitchen as the voice comes up the stairs.
She hands you the a scroll case. Inside of it is the appropriate paperwork to request the casting service and whatnot. And one of the you can actually see the actual cost to cast this spell is only 300 gold pieces, but there's an additional 50 gold piece cost to expedite it, to more or less have them cast it today as opposed to wait for a later time. So of course, that's where you see that the total of 350 comes from and whatnot. But it literally says on there some of the basic paperwork that they wouldn't provide for regular other people, like what is considered under the purview of their responsibilities with their relationship with the Paradel military, of what kind of services they would provide, kind of just always for free, like spells like the spell ceremony to make sure that somebody that's dead doesn't come back as undead, like things like that. But blessings over officers' weddings, et cetera, but nothing like a dead person. Let's speak to their soul. That's not in there.
Viggo had heard that they can do things like that, so he figures that in this moment, to get the clearest picture of what happened, is to ask the person that was there. If it's an option, we're going to take it.
She also, one of the things you also notice on there is because this kind of spell, it's like one of those, is there a preference to a faith casting of this? So like when it's faith cast, a preference to the person's faith. Almost everybody worships Idiopans, right? But you could have it, say, cast in the name of Vroga, cast in the name of Lady Aravel, cast in the name of, is there a preference?
Does he have any religious
yes, he'll have a pendant of Lady Aravel.
Well, there's something I want to interject here. Do we know they can't lie when you ask questions? Do we want to ask him or do we want to ask her?
Probably both.
Well, if we can do both, then yeah. but
That's
I
just
don't know if
expensive.
that's an option.
Another 300 gold pieces.
Because if you can ask her, then you might be able to ask who are the other traders if there's
I
more
do.
traders.
I do agree with Tesh's. Yeah, it would make
Because
sense
she
to at
can't
least
lie.
start with her. There is
Yeah.
also an element that this could be considered distasteful, disrespectful to treat a corpse in this way. I'd much rather treat a traitor's corpse than a loyal battle commander.
Viggo doesn't see it that way because I mean he's just been elbow deep in the battle commander. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
he may not
sure,
see
but
that,
like
but-
the battle commander can tell
yeah,
us who
I
killed him,
understand exactly
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you're saying. Yeah,
and so can the field
Um,
commander. But the field commander can tell us a bit more potentially, right?
Yeah, it might be able to stop some more sabotages that are happening, or maybe she might even know who the person was that came in.
yeah. So I think what we're gonna do is we'll have them both brought back to the barracks.
We're gonna do it in the barracks. Say, oh, the boys and girls won't like that.
Well, if we could
You
have
think
as many
so?
witnesses as possible.
That's
we
my
are
opinion.
how well locked down are we here, Scott? Now.
The only people outside, the only people in the area are the ones that you put, like, nobody's supposed to go in or out per your command. That's why you set up a
Right,
perimeter.
but so we got security here now then, right? It is secure.
Currently, yeah, nobody
Yeah.
else is in the building but the two
You
of you
know,
and Pan. And the only reason why Pan's even in here is because she was in here when you got here. Otherwise, she would have gotten stopped coming in forever ago.
That weird looking parent. Just saying, like we could ask the LC and then speak to the weird looking parent. Alan might want to do that.
Yeah, it's the thing being is this is why I
Not
want
a
to go
pro-
back to the barracks, right? Is because I need Gallon, or we need Gallon at that barracks. Nobody can take the
Yeah.
stuff, take the parent. Like he has an extremely important job, as do we.
I mean, if you feel it's
But
right, Triss isn't going to argue.
Yeah, I think I have a good plan for the corpse anyway. If I can,
Cool.
have a
Yeah,
look.
get Gallon's.
But we
Gallon's
haven't even really
data.
spoken about it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We
you
haven't had
haven't
that conversation.
Yeah,
Bro,
there
you
hasn't been
came
really
back, got
opportunity.
arrested. Viggo came. You said you're like we're
I
going through
gave you
everything
the
that happened with the
information.
BC.
I telepathically sent you basically, hey, this this Perrin-like creature but not Perrin attacked me with psionics more powerful than anything I've ever seen. I managed to kill it. Its corpse is in the other room, essentially.
Yeah, well, that's why Viggo told you to guard the corpse and the letters.
Yeah, which is why
but
I'm
as
there
far
now.
as Viggo's concerned, like this, we're in a highly stressful situation, and we're like he's just dealing with what's in front of him now. Like he's dealing with the BC.
Yeah,
'cause
no,
that's
I
what
think
we're-
that's good.
Yeah.
Deal with that first. The Lopathan can wait because we don't. Well, the weird Perrin can wait because that's all we know about it.
Yeah. So the AC will be there, obviously witnessing what happens as well, right?
Of course, they have to cast a spell.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I want myself, Triss, Pan, and obviously the AC there. So it's I'm not asking questions myself, and it's
you're
just me. You know what I mean?
Keeping it here because of the it's isolated.
You should.
So
You
Yes.
should probably have the other person who was in charge of the building who didn't trust you. Maybe have that person in there as well, just like so that you can iron things out and like just solidify the trust.
I
Everywhere.
mean, I know I'm not an officer, but they're a total low-rank bitch, and we don't have to worry about them.
Yeah. What I'm wondering
that
because
they're the ones
people
looking
in
after the area where you are, Tesh. You know what I mean? They're the ones giving commands.
Oh,
like,
They're,
what do. Yeah.
Never mind then.
So Scott, we said last week, right? This is a big city, right? And word would have got out to an extent, especially among probably the officers and reporting to other districts and things like that. Have we had any higher ranked people come to see what's going on yet, or anything like that?
I mean, so because it takes hours to send somebody, but you're talking about other rank people, not at this location yet. No.
Okay.
Not
All right.
yet.
Well, when the AC gets here, if nobody's coming knocking, we're just gonna have to do it ourselves.
Pam and the AC representative are the people who were there to sort of will assure that what you're saying has happened.
Yep.
which Pam at least has some position of power in some shape or form. I imagine.
Well, I mean, I'm in charge of this investigation as far as I've self-appointed myself almost as the highest ranking person around.
Yes.
So we'll just have
I
to see how it
imagine
goes.
the field commander likely has an idea who Pam is. Probably even knows that Pam's working there.
Yeah. I mean,
so-
this is all information for the field commander, so.
Yeah, exactly. I know this is all going to be going to the field commander. I'm just trying to figure out a way, make sure we can present it to them in a way that they're not going to come in and be like traitors.
Yeah. That's what I've been
avoiding
trying
the
to avoid the whole
possibility.
time. Yeah.
Okay, so you so yeah, you fill out the paperwork and whatnot, and you want to do it for 2 castings, Jake?
For 2, I don't know about 2.
Well, they were saying how investigating both him and Velfine, or do you just want to do?
I see almost like what Neil said happened in character. Like Viggo was like, "Oh, we'll ask, the BC," and he's just like, "Yeah, you don't really want to rip him back from the afterlife, I suppose." And Viggo, not seeing the problem in it, goes, "Yeah, I suppose that could look unfavorable. I guess we'll speak to the. I'll see. I don't have enough for 2 castings. I have enough for 1.
Nope, that's fine. So you so you fill out the paperwork and whatnot for it, and give it back to Pan, and she nods and says, I'll bring this back over that way. Just wanted to give you a heads up. Today's a bit of an eerie day. I don't know when the last time you went outside was, but the weather's certainly taken a bit of a turn. It's an awfully thick fog has rolled in. It just gives you an unsettling feeling, with all things and how they've transpired. So, just be careful.
Is disconcerting news. Thank you.
Nods.
Probably say to Triss, go out and speak with the men. Make sure they're ready to fight if any need arises.
Obviously Trish
Just can do that. Yeah.
Okay, he can answer for himself apparently. She will go in and head out to go and take care of things. So Triss can go out to speak with the men. And again, as we were previously stated, it is thick ass fog out there. You hadn't been outside in a while, right? And so now actually going outside, it's like, ooh, this is creeping through the streets too. My apologies.
Oh dear.
It's creeping
That's
through the
ominous.
streets as well. No, exactly. If you've ever been in like a proper city when there's like a thick fog in there, it's unsettling. When you're like, I know how tall that building is and I can't see above floor 4, it's unsettling.
We're not gonna wake up in fucking Ravenloft, are we?
I did that in an old campaign, long before streaming started. Yeah. Yep. They
Fuck that.
Yeah, that was one of the longest campaigns I ever did with Mike. It went for about 3 years. So it was literally that campaign was the sanity that helped get my friend Dave through college. So that poor guy, he's
That's
a lawyer.
awesome.
He's a lawyer. So
God damn.
yeah, law school is. He would literally show up to the campaigns with the economy-sized bottle of Pepto-Bismol because that's how he survived the stress of college. It was
Holy
just,
shit.
yeah, he would swig Pepto-Bismol, as gross as that sounds. But it was how he had to survive it. And that was a lawyer, so it does well. But anyways, say what you want about lawyers. It's all true, but they also earned it in all regards. So, so anyways, what was I saying? The
fog come rolling in.
yeah, fog come rolling in. So you go out there to speak to the soldiers and whatnot, Neil, and there is a bit of, shall we say, confusion that's settled in them, and certainly an unsettling that's amongst them. Well, actually, roll me a sense motive. Ha 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 ha.
I guess I won't sense anything.
Okay, so there's a bit of confusion and
Oh my
unsettling
God.
that's set amongst them. You are You can tell that they are uneasy. First of all, they've immediately either been following Jake because he grabbed them along the way, or because he took them from the office area, came back here, set up a perimeter. They don't know Jake at all. He's some officer that they've never met or heard of before, being told to guard outside of a place where supposedly the battle commander died, which is already unsettling. They've been here for hours, over 5 hours. They've been here just guarding with little to no information whatsoever. There's a fog that's rolled in, which adds to the lack of commands that happens to be outside here. Like, it's just, there's a very, like, they're all shaken out here. You know what I mean? Some of them are legitimately scared. You can see morale is low. And they seem to not have a clue as to what to do next. On top of that, there are a lot of locals that have already started to gather outside as well. This is one of the most disturbing parts about the fog. You go out and start talking to the soldiers, and you're just talking to them in the thick fog, not thinking anything of it. It's at one point in time, like, somebody walks by, like, closer to the building than I think you probably would be happy with normally, and it wafts just in the fog that you can see, like, several feet beyond it. Like actual F-E-E-T, not F. Wait, isn't that also how you spell feet for? Yeah, it is also the measurement. I meant the body part, not the measurement. I was thinking the D&D feet, right? F-E-A-T, right? Either way. So like taking like 2 steps that way and looking, like piercing into the fog, like looking into the fog, you can see there are a bunch of people that are kind of gathered around the area because obviously people, oh, it's going on over here. My life is boring. I don't understand it straight and much. You know, so they have kind of gathered around, which is like, oh, this is not good. If you were concerned about something bad happening, like let's say, I don't know, another person attacking, that would they would have a crowd they could Assassin's Creed into and out of.
How many soldiers do I have out here?
Jake was able to gather up 8. Sorry.
7.
8.
8. Okay.
Didn't he get more from the actual office? Like a lot more?
Not a lot more, but yes, from the office as well. Most of the people that were at the offices normally were sent out to go raid other areas.
So there's 3 entrances to this building, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
you probably have 2 posts set by the back door already.
I want 2 on each entrance, and the remainder can patrol and relieve the others as needed.
Okay.
I would take a moment to speak with each of them. I'd like go to each group of 2 separately. And Triss would say, your battle commander gave his life for this city, for Peridel. He died an honorable man, a good man by any account. You should hold your heads high and proudly to have served under him. And you should hold yourselves to the standards that he held you.
Go ahead and roll me a diplomacy check.
Luck it if you need to. The thing is, these guys being on it, is a very good thing right now.
Okay.
Nice.
So you can see the morale rise up in the soldiers a good bit and whatnot. One of the soldiers, having actually want to interact back, would be like, thank you. What are you again, champion? Thanks, champion. Though I know you're not in charge or nothing, sir, but well, not sir. He's like, I know you're not in charge or nothing, but we're all getting pretty damn hungry out here too. Do you mind if we send someone to go and grab up some grub, some rations at least?
I heard there's a restaurant just down the street. I'll go and speak with the owner there.
Nods. You go down to the restaurant down the street. It's one of those things where it's kind of the a bit of local food, like a Daelish style cuisine, coming from the swamps and whatnot. The cuisine that they have up there, you can imagine it's going to be spicier foods. There's going to be meat on stick, that kind of thing. It's totally iguana. I swear it's iguana. It's definitely iguana. Don't look into
Someone's
it.
played Fallout.
It's iguana. So,
Iguana on a stick is never iguana on a stick.
listen, when you play Fallout 1, like back in the day, like you couldn't tell. It was all pixels anyways. You're just like, I don't know, green blob. Yeah, that's iguana. Like, oh. Anyways. So
I just love that the only like hint they have is like, have you ever seen an iguana?
so there's actually in the OG game there were two types of iguana on stick. There was the chopped up meat, and then there's one where it's actually literally a full iguana. It was like up its ass and out its mouth.
Okay.
Yeah. So you never actually knew which one,
In the new ones, there's no iguana.
Yeah. It was what the hell was I saying? But that was just like because there was only one vendor that was doing it inside of one city. It's not like everybody was doing it. So
it's definitely become a bit of a meme now.
yeah. But either way, so Neil, you go and brain not working. You go to the place to speak to the owner. You can just simplify this with a simple diplomacy check of trying to let's convince them of the scenario. You're not telling them that the BC died, obviously, but try to convince them.
I have 8 soldiers that need feeding. Mm-hmm. I'll pay.
Get a roll me diplomacy.
Yeah, he'd be nice about it, obviously. Roll even fucking
and
worse.
Steve, roll me a D100. Oh. If Steve rolls higher, this is somebody that's pro Paradel. If they roll lower, it's somebody that's pro Dalelands. If they roll in the middle, it's somebody that really doesn't give a fuck either way.
Hey,
the more extreme the roll, the more extreme. Oh wow! Does not give a fuck. Wow, perfect.
Money's money.
They just want just want your money.
Okay.
It's like nice story, lad. So the total is going to come up too.
Yeah. I like it.
Next. So, you go and grab them some Subway sandwiches.
Well, this ain't Subway. This is iguana on a stick, man.
Oh, sorry. I just figured, maybe that's something Jared's into.
Homegrown iguana, quite literally.
So yeah, you can go ahead and let's just say you drop 3 gold.
I get some of the servers to help me.
Carry it out.
Bring it over.
Yeah.
3 gold, sure. That sounds absolutely fine.
Get them all a good meal. Make sure you get something for you and the BT as well. And as you're heading back, you can already see that there is somebody that's arrived on a horse, and a couple of other soldiers that are with them as well. And so as you're walking back, having this food and whatnot there, you come walking out of the fog to see them. And so it's not like you see them from a distance. You see them from less than 10 feet away. And so you come walking out of the fog. They turn their attention to you. 2 of the soldiers start walking over towards you. But then they can clearly see that you're wearing Paradel military. And one of the people there, you can hear them say as they point to you and say, he's with the PT. And the person that's on the horse looks to you and says, soldier, name and rank.
Tristan Diam, champion.
And you here serving the battle tactician inside?
I'm here serving Paradel, and I am currently under the command of the battle tactician.
Fine answer. They'll dismount from the horse. Introduce me. What's this? They say, looking at all the stuff that you have in your arms and the 2 people behind you.
I have 8 hungry guards guarding this building. They requested some food.
She looks about the area, kind of like sees the general like status of them, and nods, looks to her own soldiers and says, "Fan out. Give them each 20 minutes, and then they need to get back to guard, and then we'll turn to you and start gesture for you to lead to the door."
Tris will distribute the food. May I inquire as to your name and rank?
Nods, you can already tell by their uniform.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You already tell by their uniform they happen to be a battle centurion, which makes sense because they probably, look over certain parts of the city, so on and so forth. They most likely were one of the people that was handling one of
Leading
the
a
raids.
raid.
Yeah. So, or at least several raids, right? So you can see that they're battle centurion. So they'll say that my name is battle centurion Yolanda. And say, I was securing the docks district, in case you were curious. Now, the soldiers out here have informed me that the battle commander is no longer with us. And that apparently there was a traitor. I need all this information. Lead the way.
Just would salute and lead. And as he's going, he would inform the situation as best he can. That we found out there was a traitor. The battle commander went to try and stop it, and an unknown third party killed all the individuals involved. And that the BT right now is using Arcane Congress magic to attempt to, or will be shortly using Arcane Congress magic to attempt to ascertain what exactly has gone on.
Okay. So she comes walking in to the area. So she comes walking in with you and goes up to the stairs to go see the battle tactician. So it's one of those things where, knock, knock, and, you go into the door, and Jake, you kind of, standing there, and you see this woman. Who you've never
my gloves are off, all right? There's no blood all over my hands at this time. I'm riding.
You still have your apron.
I didn't.
It's not a slob, Scott.
True.
So you're there, do your writing or whatever. What's her name? Hannah's already left again, as previously discussed. And shit, what was I supposed to say to you? You're writing in there, walking in. Either way, so you go walking in, and she says, "What in the name of Aravel is going on here?" That's what I was going to say. I was going to describe her. As she comes walking into the room, now Neil can probably see her because you're outside the fog and whatnot. You can see her here. So the woman happens to be Perrin. She does not have a helmet on her head, at least not as of right now. Long dark hair that's pulled back into a braid behind her head. She shows sign of aging, probably in her late 40s. If you had to guess, so you're starting to see the elongated features, starting to see the pointing of the ears, as well as a little bit graying, like a little bits of gray starting to come into her hair. More down by the actual like roots of the hair than further along the actual like length of the hair. And she has you can see just as like an important mark on her, just a little bit of a scar on one side of her jawline. Like at one point in time, she probably got a nasty wounds there. Either way, so she says, "What in the gods is going on in here?" As she looks in and sees the bodies having been disrobed and opened up, and tools on the ground, and you with a bloody
I did
apron.
not destroy the bodies. I
didn't say
am
you
not
destroyed them,
stupid.
but you certainly have got examining throughout them.
Yeah. He'll stand. He
And
notices
I
her rank,
quote,
obviously.
elbow deep.
I did not destroy the bodies, just part of them.
Oh God. I said that for a dramatic effect, all right?
Oh yeah, sure. Zip.
He sees what rank she is, I assume.
Yeah.
He'll salute and he says, "Battle tactician Viggo Medahina. I have investigated thoroughly the building and have pieced together what I believe to be the events that transpired." He then just starts, telling her what they think happened.
So you deliver that line and you start immediately going in. She holds up her hand for you to stop. And what do you have to say for this? Is this necromancy?
He looks at her like, no. I'm a doctor.
Oh, my apologies. I do not know you. You do not serve. You do not serve Malisal Harbor. Who are you?
He'll say who he is. Where it's no secret that we're from the sent here
Not at
by
all.
the
We're-
Duino. Yep.
Not even remotely. Yeah, we're fully. This is a fully sanctioned thing.
Yep, by the
Yeah.
battle
So
commander.
he goes into it, describes who he is, and then tells her that they are responsible for the death of 3 of the Black Knights commanders and the identifying of the other 2, including the traitor LC.
And the information for the raids, because they specifically took part in the raids. So
Yes. So he explains all that to her, and that he is working with the battle commander to completely destroy the Black Knights.
Go ahead and roll a diplomacy check as you're explaining these details. And she's listening fervently. She has the occasional question here or there and so on and so forth, but... Are you happy with your 22?
No.
Oh, and Neil, would you have...
oh, nice.
Neil, would you have assisted in this diplomacy check?
Triss would.
I can bloop for you.
Triss would ask a peculiar question, and say, "I believe that the BC was a good man, and unfortunately he's now dead. So is the LC, who does not seem to be quite the same caliber. Though caliber doesn't exist yet, but we'll ignore that. I might ask, if I may, would we be able to give you a cursory search? We don't know how deep the corruption goes, but we do know that Black Knights carry masks such as this."
Okay. This is to assist. He does assist, gives you a +2. That means you got a 28, just so you know, sir. Okay. And so with all that and hearing all the details and so on and so forth, we're kind of like explaining all this out and also that question in there. She will actually appreciate the additional level of concern in this. And she says, certainly you can look through these 2 pouches that I have with me. That's not so difficult of a request. But I will say this. If I was in fact a Black Knight, would I be so foolish as to bring a mask with me?
This one did, and he points at the LC.
She nods and says, however, she was also intentionally handling the raid and probably trying to play both sides of it.
Just nod.
Okay. So she'll let you kind of look through the 2 pouches that she has there, and she has her various belongings. There is papers there. If you try to open any of them, she'll say, that is not for your eyes. But but there's no mask or anything like that amongst her belongings that happen to be there. And she'll obviously hand them back over. You obviously were able
May I
to...
ask what raid you headed up?
When you finish like explaining everything
Down by the docks.
over, obviously she's now more into like the dialogue mode. But as you're looking through this, you ask what raid you headed up. Tristan answers by the docks, and she'll, speaking to that point, she says, in fact, the entire dock area was under my commands. There were 6 raids that happened over there. Unfortunately, a little bit of the intel was a little bit off. As I had said, there were 6 raids that transpired there. 4 of those raids were, in fact, Black Knight locations, and we caught them off and defeated them. One of them was not a Black Knight location, and now there will have to be a degree of reprimands that are returns to the owner of that establishment. The final one was a Harbor Master's location, and that was a little bit of a boon for us. In the meanwhile, however, the entire thing has been shored up. Now, from what I understand, notification has already been sent from the offices over towards the field commander to inform them of the scenario. Unfortunately, the field commander is about a day's ride out, so we will not be hearing from, I believe, her until for another day and a half or more.
It gives us enough time to prepare a full comprehensive report when they return.
She nods and says, There is a centurion of war that happens to be settled in the city. They were, again, overseeing a different operation. I was just the closest and first to hear of what had transpired here. Word is unfortunately spreading. People are becoming aware of what has happened. And there is going to be, unfortunately, chaos that's going to take place. There's a power vacuum. There's an opportunity for these other organizations to, let's say, take their next step forward. I'm just hoping that we can keep it contained, whatever it is. The fog rolling in is not going to help us in this scenario.
No, could we not? If people are becoming aware of what's happened, especially with the BC and with the Black Knights all but devastated, could we not put it out there that the battle commander gave his life valiantly in destroying the Black Knights? I don't think they have quite a good reputation in the city anyway. They're mostly out for themselves in the guise of helping a rebellion of sorts.
She raises an eyebrow to that. The Black Knights are a organization of what are they called?
Crime syndicate, ma'am. We found evidence that details this. The papers are back at the barracks.
Nods and says, "Huh." And all this while, under the guise of being just another terrorist cell, freedom fighters, for their own perspective, it was a ruse.
Some of them believe that, to be sure. The lower down ones, I believe.
There is still one that we haven't managed to locate, however, hope to do so soon.
Says, well, then let us see to it that this is completed now. I can see that you have finished your doctoring, and thank you for your full report as to how it is that they've all been killed. But I think it's about time that these bodies be appropriately readorned, wrapped, and transported to where they could finally, meet their rest.
Before they are, the Arcane Congress will be here shortly. I believe they are on their way. They will be using their magics to speak with the LC.
To speak with the LC. So indeed, this is necromancy. She shakes her head. I have to say that I am not very comfortable with magic. In this scenario,
With respect, ma'am, I hate necromancy. I fought the dead on the border of a deer. Not many of them. I wasn't in the thick of it. But I also hate people that cut down good men and women, betray them. We owe it to the BSEN to find out, or beat commander, to find out what happened. It may be distasteful, but it's what needs to be done.
This murderer is still out there.
she'll actually look to Tristan and say, "Well said. How are you not an officer?"
Tris just like looks down. He doesn't have anything to say to that. He just does like a little giggle and looks at his feet.
How are you not an officer? Well, you see, I punched a policeman.
Oh my God, Tesh, that was like utter perfection. Oh my God. The real reason is he wasn't born in Paradise, right? He was born in a deer. So
yeah. It's just
either way, that's hilarious. So yeah. So yeah. Wow. So you
Viggo will actually hand we can dress them, right? But he does hand the rank of the LC to the BC, and he says she's not deserving of this.
Was that a hiccup, Scott? Are you okay?
I'm trying to stifle them before they get out of control.
It happened when I was looking away from the screen, and I looked back, and you were just perfectly still, and I was like, "What just happened?"
starting to slow down, I think. Okay.
I get hiccups 100% of the time that I eat cold chips.
Weird.
The second I eat one cold chip, I get hiccups.
Oh, God.
Don't know why.
Sorry, 1 second. Now, when you said cold chips, do you mean French fries?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Potato, cooked potato chips.
Wait, you're saying potato chips. Do you
Ah,
mean French
fuck.
fries?
Not
You mean-
crisps. Not crisps.
Okay. So you mean French fries.
Fries.
You mean freedom fries. That's right. Okay, cool. Just making sure we're on the same page. Oh, God damn it, hiccups. Okay. Ah.
God, why don't you take the opportunity to go like make a coffee?
No. I'm good.
I mean, you're lying.
I'm lying. All right, let's take a quick break. Be right back.